guys and gals, backwaters and backroads here. Obviously, we are back on the Beagle Barge Build. I am finally gonna make outdoor. I'm starting with the back because I would say that's probably the least important out of the two. And I think I have it mapped out in my head how I'm at least going to attempt this. I know it just, to people who know what they're doing, it's like, what's the problem? Why have you been putting this off for so long? I am not a good builder. And when it comes to stuff that's even the slightest bit advanced beyond just putting up stuff on walls and stuff, I really start to spin out in my brain as to how it's going to turn out. And I think I have this kind of fear-conquering thing going on. Like, what if I put a whole day into it and it doesn't work and I have to burn it or scrap it? You know, will I be able to forgive myself type thing? It's really funny. I mean, not to go too deep, but building anything, any sort of creative process is it's an exercise in a lot of, self-improvement and stuff like that and conquering fears. And I mean, I know a lot of you guys already know what I'm talking about. So anyways, you see how quick I can start to ramble? And I'm probably stalling because I don't want to do this. So let's get started. Let's see what comes of it. And stay tuned. All right, these are my best measurements here. 53¼ tall, 31 width. Now I'm moving. You guys, you see this is probably the cleanest. I'm not done yet. That pile's going away to Minnesota, but yeah, things are starting to clear out for my friends that are coming up next month. And these are some of the building materials that I have been, putting aside that I think I'm going to try these doors with. Some really thick plywood, and of course I've got lots more cedar. So I'm going to try plywood first as a base for the door, like the backing of the door. Okay, so the first thing I'm doing is I'm taking off the edges on this plywood because the corners kind of get wrecked, and I mean this is used plywood, but it still I think has a lot of life left into it. So I'm just going to kind of trim it up and give it new edges. Now I'm doing the long cut here, 53¼ So I straightened up that edge. I did a little sanding on it. I think that helped too. Just kind of, see what you're working with here. This wood's still fairly in good shape. Piece of plywood these days. I don't even know what it runs, but yeah, I'm gonna make this cut, and then we'll get our 53. We'll get our long way for the door. I'm up on the back of the boat here, and I get a view of the berm in front of my house, and I see some folks fishing out here. Let's go take a look. Of course, this is what I should be doing. Out getting these coho that are up close. In another couple weeks, they'll disperse out into the lake. They kind of go solo, and then you just catch them once in a great while. But in the spring and in the fall, sometimes they come in really close when the water's cold and kind of bunch up. You can catch them easy. Man, the lake's in good shape. This is what I mean about living in northern climates. You only get about 6-7 months, sometimes 8, to do all the good stuff, unless you like winter sports. And, fixing houses, fixing boats, fixing this and that, and trying to squeeze in fun is a big challenge. Anyhow, back to the project at hand. See, I could easily just put down this door project today and go fishing. The sea door is ready to go. I got a fishing license, but I gotta get this done. This is gonna be my home on the water, in front of the river place. All right, well, it does slide into the gap, into the opening here. I'm already realizing that it's not square. The top of the door entrance is a little bit wider. I'd say maybe 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch than the bottom. But, I cut it, I guess, small enough that it fits still. Now I'm trying to decide whether I want it to open to the starboard side or to the other side. So this would be if it was opening to and stopping at the motor, or I could have it hinged on this side and open to the railing. I think towards the motor makes more sense, because if I ever put a little gate on this side for loading stuff, then the door could open and stay out of the way instead of going around it. I saved the old hinges to the screen door that was in the back, and I think there's, you know, probably still good. I'll just clean them up a little bit and try to reuse them. I'm trying to save myself a trip to the hardware store. This is a big old box of stainless steel, or stainless, yeah, stainless, like fasteners that came with the Salmon Island, what is it? The Vashon Island salmon troller. a bunch of boats ago. Let me see if I can find the right screws here. All right, so I put a hinge on the door side, and I think I'll just put the other two spaced out, and then I'll try to place the door on the jamb here. Okay, so after a couple attempts of trying to make this work, it's a total trial and error thing that a seasoned builder would know and not even try. But for starters, this doorway is not even close to being square or rectangular. And in fact, I mean, it's in all ways not just the shape of it, but also the cabin of this boat kind of leans backwards. You know, which shouldn't surprise me. I mean, it's solid, but it's nowhere near square. So that's one of the things that's fighting me on this. But now that I've sat here and thought about it for a few minutes, I think I've got an idea that, I mean, something's eventually going to work. I can tell now. What I did is I took the 1x that's like that. I took it out on this side. I'm going to use a 2x4, and I'm going to square this up a little bit, and we'll see if it works. Well, guys, I'm getting hungry, so I'm going to run up to the store, get a pasty or something, and I'm trying to get rid of all these cans. You guys know, if you watch my channel, I'm a canner. I got piles of them over in the corner. I think probably hundreds of dollars worth. I gotta get rid of them before my friends Joan and Bill take over the place, so I keep going up every day and cashing in like 20 bucks worth, and then I buy some food. And so I haven't spent any real money in like a week now, so the neighborhood's just gonna love that I'm not here anymore. What about this one? This looks like this looks like 20 bucks. Alright guys, well, I got a pasty and a banana and $9.10 for gas in the metal tent. So let's head back home and get to work. Wavey gravy. Did I forget to get you a treat? Do I need to stop at the dollar store and get you a treat? Stay. Stay. No, stay. I get my treat too, pasty. I should tell you guys the story of the pasty someday. Well, I feel like I'm reinventing the wheel here, but I'm going to show you what I got going so far. What's kind of making sense to me. So, I got the door to, you know, in place a little bit, somewhat. But I remember seeing on other doors how this is an indentation, which brings the door, which fills this gap when it's closed. Though there probably is a different way to mount the hinges to fill that gap, or have the gap only open when the door opens, if that makes sense. Whereas right now, let me show you. When the door closes, I have a gap bigger on the top. Oh, I also put a 2x4 in here. That 1x just wasn't cutting it. But what I'm going to do, I think this will make sense. I'm going to chisel out around the hinge mounts on the 2x4, which will bring the door this way and kind of close that gap a little bit. And also bring the hinges this way a little bit, which will close the gap. Let's see if that works. What on earth is going on? What a mess, eh? Okay, so I remember when I was taking this boat apart and taking out the old interior, they had an indentation next to the door. It wasn't this wide. It was probably half of that, but now I understand why, because when the door opened inward, it would bind up against the wall. So I'm going to have to recess that part of the wall. But I know what I'm doing. I know what I have a vision now. So stay tuned. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. Sinking the door in a little bit so that when it opens and closes, it keeps the gap at a minimum. And that since this doorway is not square, I'm having to make these deeper than the bottom. But it's coming along. I'm feeling like Richard Prenicky up in Alaska. The guy that made that log cabin at Twin Lakes, Alaska back in the 60s. He's a legend. So you see what I'm talking about here. This is the inside. And I'm filling in that gap in the door. Now I need to still do some trimming. This used to be the door used to, I'm making it turn inward. I'm sure you figured that out by now, but I'll explain why in a minute. But I need to do some trimming up here at the top of the door, but not much. And then here's the hinges in. I just put one screw in each while I'm kind of fine tuning it. And then let me show you this. What a mess. Okay. Actually, hold on, I gotta use both hands. Okay, so now when it closes, you see the gap also fills in. So I'm gonna have to trim up the door on this side so that it fits into the, into the bay. But in fact, I'll do that right now. Okay, guys, this is what I've come up with so far. Gotta do some trimming, of course, but it's a plywood door, which I'm going to decorate and strengthen up with probably cedar. And I'm going to put a window, a small window, right about there. And there's a lot more to do, but got these hinges recessed in. And it kind of drags up here. I'll have to trim that, but it closes. I mean, it's a start. It's a start. Okay, guys and gals, a couple of gals that watch my channel, thank you for that. So, this is what I've come up with. I think I'm stopping for today, but let me show you. So, one of the reasons why I was having a hard time on this was the whole cabin of this boat is pretty much framed out in 1x, which is actually, now that I'm starting to understand it a little better, I'm going to go inside here, makes things a little harder. 2x4s are a lot easier to work with, at least I think so. I still have to trim that top there, but what I did was I'm kind of framing the doorway in with 2x. I know why they did 1x, because they had a screen door on the outside and then I guess you'd call a normal door on the inside, even though that was pretty chintzy too. But I mean, this boat comes from Louisiana where they don't really have to worry about cold weather, and so things like screen doors and thin doors and stuff doesn't, probably makes a lot of sense. But up here I kind of think in terms of like keeping the heat in, stuff like that. So anyways, we do have a lot of bugs and there is going to be a screen door. What I'm going to do, I did the same thing in my ice castle. I'm going to get a piece of driftwood and roll up screen, and it's going to kind of be tied up towards the top, and then when I want to put a screen down, I just roll it down. It just rolls down and goes to the floor, and I just kind of pull in the edges, and it keeps 90% of the bugs out. It did on my ice castle. I think it'll do the same here. So yeah, this was a good idea. sinking in these hinges. Get rid of that gap, and then when I close the door, you know, I'm still kind of fine-tuning it obviously, but it's gonna you know, go flush with that, with the wall back here, and then I'm gonna put, you know, some cedar like this on the door. I've got an idea. If you guys got ideas, please, you know, in the comment section, let me know what you think. I was gonna put, you know, a round window with plexiglass. I'll kind of frame it in, put it on the back side here, and then I'll veneer the back of the door here with cedar is my thoughts. I'm not totally, you know, committed to that yet. And then because because once I do that, it'll stick out a little farther than the wall here, I'll just put a piece of stripping down this, you know, to kind of make it match up, you know, for visual and so forth. And I still haven't figured out what I'm going to do with a handle, you know, for a handle yet. But if you guys got some ideas, please chime in. But other than that, I think it's going to come together. Just while I'm in here, I'm going to show you. I got the rest of the cedar put in on the, call this the bathroom area. This is pretty much done, except for just right along the floor there, which I got a little something to figure out there. I also moved the battery, the starter battery, the motor battery, inside with battery cable extensions. So yeah, just little things. And then next, we're going to take that on. So, okay guys, thanks for watching. I know sometimes these build videos can be a little bit boring, but we got to get through them so we can go splash this boat and go have some adventures. So, I will catch you soon. Thanks for watching.